There are a number of different power structures, many of which proven to work throughout history, although one of the most interesting alternatives is entirely theoretical. In a technocracy, power is still held by an elite, not an elite of plutocrats, not an elite of aristocrats, but an elite of technocrats, experts in science and technology. The government would be run by engineers and scientists who can apply the scientific method to solve real-world issues. Instead of electing career politicians, a small group of intellectuals would be chosen to lead us. They would focus on efficiency, what practically works, and the concept of morality may become obsolete. And it's that detail which has people worried. The claim that technocracy can replace morality. It makes technocracy sound more like Orwell's nightmare than a realistic system. We can't know for sure because no such system has ever been established, but there have been attempts to establish a technocracy, and many still advocate for it today. The Great Depression was the most devastating economic depression in modern history, and it followed the biggest ever stock market crash. Once prosperous neighborhoods were thrown into poverty. In some cities, industrial activity came to an absolute halt. International trade fell by 50%. Millions of people lost their jobs and found themselves starving on the streets. It was in the 1930s when conditions were at their most miserable and millions were at their most desperate that a strange group of people emerged. These people promised an end to the widespread suffering in North America. They were called Technocracy Incorporated, an incorporated social movement advocating for the establishment of a technocracy. Huge crowds were attracted to their public meetings, and there was a feeling revolution was nearing. The technocrats were radical to their core. They argued against the existence of their own country, instead advocating for the unification of all North and Central American states into one single technocratic nation, a utopian superstate to match the Soviet Union. From Colombia to the North Pole, national governments would be replaced by a massive technocrat bureaucracy. And if that doesn't sound ambitious enough already, remember Canada was part of the British Empire at the time, and it wasn't going to give up colonies without fighting. By 1933, there were groups of technocrats across the United States and Canada, some proposing ideas openly, while others planned violent revolution, just like how the Soviet Union was established. But the technocrat revolution never happened. In 1940, the movement was banned in Canada after they objected to British involvement in World War II. After the war, they never regained momentum, and the dream of technocracy is now largely forgotten. People all over the Western world are mad at the establishment. They see career politicians making cheap short-term policies that win them elections. Politicians seldom plan for the long term, which is why short-term offers hold more clout in diplomatic negotiations. With this in mind and the inevitable decline of the West, people are once again calling for technocracy. It doesn't need to be part of a greater utopian vision. Any leader who derives power from technical expertise is a technocrat. But in a real technocracy, leaders wouldn't be democratically elected. There were some parts of the Soviet Union where technical experts were chosen as leaders. And today, East Asian countries are moving more in that direction, especially China. Pragmatism and efficiency are highly valued in China's political system, and it's a communist dictatorship. You'll find that Western politicians have law degrees, but Chinese politicians tend to have degrees in science and engineering. If you ask me, China already is a technocracy. In 1990, it was found that 80% of high-level politicians within China had studied science or engineering. Technocratic China will soon dominate the democratic West, but that's a whole different video.